used our story to create our program.
If you do the first three really well, rinse and repeat those, you're probably going to end up very consistent.
Now, you could be a millionaire. You don't have to, that's just what society tells you. If you want to work and be a millionaire, then you can be a millionaire.
You almost know the question, the comeback they're going to come at you with, and you've already got this answer here that's going to solve it. Welcome to another episode of the Physically Jacked Financially Stacked podcast. Today we have got two very special ladies who have been hugely successful in the online fitness space with a seven-figure fitness business. Both have probably got one of the biggest female fitness businesses I've seen, Katherine and Britany, clients within seven-figure scaling systems, who've come to our event in Las Vegas this weekend. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, we're glad to be here. Excited.
One of the things I think is fascinating about both of you, first, the fact that you work together, which is an unusual thing that most people struggle with. And secondly is that, what would you say to women who have maybe limiting beliefs of what can be achieved in terms of growing a business, in particular when like you have children and a family and all those type of different things?
Yeah, so when I first hired Britany, I had just had my first child, and I remember
you were pregnant.
I was pregnant. And I thought that when I got pregnant and had kids, that you had to work less. Like being a mom meant you had to work less hours. And a very special person in my life, Paula, she's our business attorney and our therapist. She said, no, you could be a millionaire. You don't have to, that's just what society tells you. If you want to work and be a millionaire, then you can be a millionaire. And so I kind of sat back on that and I thought, you know what, she's right. Like as a mom, you don't have to work less. That's just what the culture tells you. Stay-at-home moms are the best type of moms, but that's not necessarily true, and that didn't make me a good mom. I'm not a stay-at-home mom type. My career gives me energy. My kids do, but at the same time, I love working. It's a passion, it's a drive, it's what I love to do. So I think as a mom, you do what works best for you. If you want to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, that's great, that's wonderful. But if you have a desire to do anything different, it's okay. You shouldn't feel guilt around that. And if it gives you energy and makes you a better mom to be a career-driven mom, then do it.
Do you think there's a stigma sometimes of being a mom who works a lot?
Yes, I do. Especially, in the U.S. and kind of my background of just growing up in the religious sector, there's a lot that...
Where are you from in context?
As the Southeast. Yeah, so Southeast United States, North Carolina, Georgia. There's a lot of pressure on women to stay at home. And so there's a heaviness to that when a woman steps outside of the home to work.
And in terms of you coming into the business and then having the family, are there certain things that you've maybe wished someone said to you at the start in terms of that you've maybe learned now in terms of having more of an efficient approach in terms of running the business and trying to keep some balance to spend time with your kids and also get everything to grow?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I wish that someone would have said to me over and over and over again is that it's okay to work, because there was a constant guilt or weight on me that I felt like I was not giving my kids enough time. But one of the things that I think is the most important as a mom, career-driven mama, is you have to set your boundaries and you have to have opportunities to be present with your children, bottom line. So at 4 p.m. you cut it off, put your phone away, and let everyone know that that's what you're doing so that you can have those hours of being present, fully present with your kids. I'm not saying it always works, because it doesn't. But that's one of the things I would say, make sure that your boundaries are clear for yourself, stick to them so that you can be present with your children. But also explain to your children what you're doing. And one of my biggest things for my kids is I want them to know that that working hard is fulfilling and that you can work hard. And working hard, if you want to make money, whatever you want to do, you can do it, anything you want. And that's what I want my kids to know. So they are present a lot of times when I do have some things I have to do, and I let them know and let them know why I work and how that benefits them,
And you've obviously seen a lot of this progress over the years. Do you think that's changed as the business has grown?
As far as
Katherine managing the kids' relationships with that, and maybe has that been almost like a skill she's developed over time?
For me, we were actually talking about this morning, sometimes I guess I worry, like, I can't be a mom and run a business, but I see her do it, and she's incredible at it, and Katherine is someone that I look up to, a bestie.
Don't be crying on me, okay?
Let me not get emotional. But no, I mean, I think that I'm sure that some days are very hard because we talk about that too, but she just finds a way to make it happen. And it's so incredible because you always hear, like, you can't be a great mom and also run a business, and you absolutely can.
Yeah, you can. It's like, if you're a mom and you're worried about starting a business and you think, well, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? Don't let that be the thing that paralyzes you to never do it, right? Because half the time, I don't know. I just do it.
Just find a way.
Just figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
In terms of the female sector, like the fitness and weight loss niche, I'd say that's probably the most lucrative and the biggest sector. What would you say to any women listening to this who may be trying to get into that in terms of like find their niche, and like how did that look like for you in terms of like transitioning to specifically who you help right now?
Let's see.
Because you originally competed a long time ago, which I didn't know, that Corby told me.
Yes, I did. So I competed. I was actually 20 weeks out from nationals in Miami when I found out I was pregnant, and I'm so grateful because I'm glad to be out of that for women. For me, that's just my choice. But when I had my first kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have 2 hours a day to spend in the gym. I don't have hours a day to meal prep, and I don't really want to eat like this anymore. I want to be able to feed my kids and eat what they eat, or go out for ice cream or whatever. So I decided that that's where I wanted my program to head, to go in that direction, because there were so many women who they think, well, I'm a mom, like it's all over from here. I can't look good after I have kids. I don't have the time to do it, or I have to sacrifice my wants, needs, and desires now that I'm a mom. And that's not true. And that's really what I wanted to be able to show moms, is that you can have all of this and be a great mom.
And how long did it take you to learn that, do you think?
I feel like I'm still learning it,
Okay.
Truthfully. I mean, it's something that we as women or as moms battle that guilt all the time.
And I think that's one of those things, is like, you don't know what you don't know. I think some things we spoke about the weekend with like where you're at with some of the businesses, and really easy things to fix and move around that will get you a lot of your time back. And there's like an expression, you can't see the wood through the trees. And I think there's a lot of time where people, particularly I think the US, are stuck in that culture where they don't know what to do, whether it be with their business or fitness, because there's so much misinformation. Like even you go to Walmart and it says like keto food, and you look on the back and it's like 40% carbohydrates. And like, how the fuck is this keto then? And like people were so misinformed with so many different things. I think they cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we do really well is we used our story to create our program. So my story was I was terrified to eat out, right? Terrified of carbs. I was so numbers focused with calories. It was kind of a game. I underate all the time. I did tons of cardio. So what we did is we took all of that and implemented it into our meal plans, right? So we created, we're teaching women how to eat out at restaurants and lose fat, how to eat ice cream and lose, fat, how to drink wine and eat French fries and reach their goals. So that's been really good it's easy for us to sell because we do the exact same thing that we teach our clients.
Yeah, and whether it's like I said to everyone, like the easiest thing to sell is like what you actually do, right? So like I said on the weekend, it's like highest level authority, the person who does the thing,
right,
and also teaches the thing. So like
yes,
you're a mum in shape, you do the thing, you then teach others to do the thing,
mm-hmm,
and then it's like it's not a sale, it's just teaching what you do, right? And that's
exactly
a very natural progression, exactly like we do teaching other people like you guys to build a fitness business, because we've got a really successful fitness business. It's then easy to be like, oh, you've got this problem, we had this problem, this is what you do.
Yep.
Because you can speak in the same language. Whereas I think why a lot of fitness professionals struggle is the fact that it's like X's and O's. It's like the two positives of a magnet trying to push together. It's like they're getting repelled because the language you're speaking aren't matching up. And if you understand your avatar and that is you or who you used to be,
correct,
then it's really easy to be like, almost like the way I think about a lot of fitness people is they should almost target the person who's like them 3 to 5 years ago maybe. So like who you've progressed to who you are now from where you were when you were stuck is a good way to think about it.
Yes, and part of the event this week reminded us that we don't tell our story enough.
100%.
No, we don't.
We don't tell it enough. I'm like, oh, that is my story. That's so powerful, but we forget that these people don't know that.
And neither do I, to be honest. And so I think that's one of the issues. I think sometimes it's so easy to talk about the highlight reels of all this shit over here, whereas like people sometimes want to see what did chapter 1 look like rather than like chapter 14.
Yep.
Why do you feel that sometimes maybe you don't show enough of that?
I think for me, and you actually said this yesterday, like sometimes we know what we're supposed to be doing in the business, but we forget to do certain things. And that's why coming to these events are super powerful, because you're like, oh shit, I haven't been doing that.
Yeah. I think it's just such a part of like us. We just forget. I don't know. In the highlights, I get so caught up in telling, oh, this client did this client did that. And it happened, our stories, it happened so long ago, we're so far removed from it, we forget how powerful it is.
And basically one of the things I said at the event we had this weekend was like, often you need to be reminded more than you need to be taught, because
Correct.
a lot of these things we actually know, but sometimes like it's just in the back of our memory because we get clogged up with so much of this other shit essentially that's put in front of us. And when we can see really clearly, okay, this is what we need to do. And that's why I think for a lot of people having like really clear like marching orders in terms of like, this is what I need to focus on. So like we did yesterday for the next 90 days, you're then like, okay, I just need to execute these things. Rather than I think what happens is like people get red shiny object of being like, I've got to do all these things, or this new things, like Instagram threads come out, oh, what am I going to do with this? Like, and people are just like spinning from one plate to another rather than like going all the way through with something that would work, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's how I feel like we were for a couple months lately. We kept saying, we need an event, we need something to do, because we're all, okay, I need to do this, need to do that, need to do that, and then we're not doing anything. Either we're so overwhelmed we just don't make a move, or we just are bouncing around and unproductive.
I think one of the words you used there was interesting, was overwhelmed. What do you do? Because when you run a business, there's always problems and things go wrong. It's just the nature of the beast. What do you do when you feel overwhelmed and anxious in that situation?
I typically go for a walk outside first.
Yes.
I do.
For me, I think working out I like going to the gym to work out when I'm super overwhelmed, because it's like my place to like truly decompress.
That's the hard part about being a fitness coach, because it used to be for me.
And that becomes work, right?
Now it's work, So that's why I say I usually just go on a walk.
I would say lately, what has been working very well for us is we have been trying to go on a vacation once a month, because we have noticed, like, whenever we go on vacation for a week and just decompress and not worry about business or worry about working, like, we come back and we are refreshed, and like we make more money.
Yes.
Whereas if we don't take the vacation, we've noticed that we make less money.
And this is actually an interesting limiting belief, because I have had this a lot where I'm like, I need to stay in Dubai, I need to stay at my computer desk. You're not allowed, need to stay like in the zone. Whereas a lot of the time I find if I move around or travel or do whatever, I actually do a lot better. But I think part that's just because your brain is more stimulated and you're thinking differently rather than being like almost the same day on repeat, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think we then get stuck in that same loop where you're going to get the same outcomes and results. Whereas if like you come to Vegas, you're going to different gyms, you're meeting different people, you get different ideas, it's then maybe going to give you a different perspective and a quicker way to grow the business perhaps.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this morning, as soon as we woke up, we started working. We've been so productive today, just being in a different location. I mean, the event has helped and we have our marching orders, but man, we've been super productive, efficient, and probably the most productive I've been in several months, truthfully. Yeah.
And obviously one of the things you talked about at the event, I think Gavin did a really good talk about in terms of like the downward spiral. And I think that people naturally get into, like happens to me, happens to everyone. I think one of the important things is doing events like this and coming to things and being part of masterminds, because it's almost like a big spike in terms of like, shit, I now know what I need to do, or like getting that motivation and spark back. Because when you get in an environment of other people hyper successful, it then gives you that like motivation to do it again. Because sometimes you can feel quite lonely in terms of like, you guys work together, but a lot of people listening to this have their own business, they're like solopreneur essentially, work on a laptop at home. It's a very lonely process, which I'm sure you've probably felt.
That's probably one of the reasons. There were several reasons why we decided to partner, but that's one of them, because it felt lonely doing it by ourselves.
Well, and we also said that we kind of felt like we were competing
Yeah, like she'd get a sale and I'm like, okay, congratulations, but I'm salty. And the same thing for her. Or like she would take a call for me and she would sell like a 7,500 and she'd be like, I just sold your freaking client for 7,500 cat. You know, and so we're kind of getting salty with each other's success, but not in a bad way, but we're like, we need to change this because that's holding us back, right? We're not moving in the same direction at the same pace.
Yeah, and I think now that we're actually doing it truly together, it's more fun. We make more money, and I think we enjoy what we do a lot more.
Right, and my weaknesses she makes up for.
And this is the important things of like team building and working together, right? Because no one's going to be a 10 out of 10 at everything, and you have to like balance things out because different personalities and different people have like a different zone of genius. And I think one of the most important things is trying to work out what you're really good at and what you probably like doing and just do more of that one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I think you and I have talked about before that I'm like, I don't want to deal with the details, the organization, the back end. Like I can't, my brain doesn't function like that. I don't do well with it. I hate every minute of it. She's great at it. She does amazing with organizing and the systems and all of that. And I love that. So it's helpful.
And she's really good at content writing. And for me, I hate writing. And so I just take the things that I'm really good at and I stick to those, and she takes the things that she's really good at and she sticks to them, and then we come together and we do very well.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned a minute ago was a $7,500 sign up for a program, right? A lot of women listening to this would be like, holy shit, like, and have very limiting beliefs in terms of prices. Was that you back previously?
Oh man, when we first started, with our first mastermind, I think that's where we met you. I think it was Corby was the one that was like, no, just start selling paid in fulls. And so in the beginning, you're not going to feel as confident pitching that, right? The more you pitch it, the more confident you become.
And it's the less fear you have when you say the number.
Right. Yeah, you don't stutter over your words. Yeah. I remember the first time I pitched that and I'm like, oh, but then you start selling them and the more confident you become, and you just have to do it. And if you're not confident saying a particular number, then go a little lower that you are, because we talk about this a lot. I'm so confident in selling 5,000s all day long. Like in June, I sold 15 5K packages in 10 days, like super easy for me. And she said, yeah, but we sold a bunch of 7,500s in March. And I'm like, I know, but I'm so confident at this. I know I can get it, but so it's all in what you're confident with doing. But the more you do it, you just have to do it. You have to just do the reps and just do it.
And we actually just recorded a podcast with Corby in terms of sales closing. Like the three biggest things people need to think about when it comes to being good at sales is like, one, gifted ability. Like some people are just really good at it and they should probably do the sales calls. Like if you're shit at it, maybe it's not your thing. Second is going to be probably learning the skills. And third is like reps. It takes a while because after a certain period of time, there's only so many objections you can hear. And after a while, you have the answer in terms of like working with us, work with Corby in terms of like knowing what the reply is to that. So you almost know the question, the comeback they're going to come at you with, and you've already got this answer here that's going to solve it. So it's almost like a one-way fight in terms of what they're going to say, you got the answer already. It always reminds me of I used to be an estate agent back 5-6 years ago, and they knew what people were going to say even before they said it straight away. So like I already had the answer, so that they're fucked from the start. So it's like I'm going to win because I do this every day. You don't so we should convert pretty well on our calls.
Right. I mean, in the beginning, I remember. It was hard to do sales calls. It was it took a lot of effort. It still takes a lot of emotional effort, I think, but not as much as it used to. I didn't really love it, but now with the way we have, especially with the way we have things split up and I have more time to focus on them, I love them. Like, meeting the people is great, but also, all my wheels turning as they speak, like what I should ask and how to hit this point, and just it's fun. It's really fun to figure a person out and get the sale.
And I think why it's fun is in particular when your program's good and your program's had a lot of success, which yours had as ours. You know how you're going to change that person's life.
That's the bottom line. I know I can help them.
So it's not like I'm just trying to take money from persons. Like, and I say to people all the time, like, I don't give a shit. I don't need your money. Like, you're going to get a lot more out of this than I am.
Right.
So like, this is within your interest to do it, not mine.
Right.
And you say that sincerely to someone, like, they're going to believe you and be like, fuck, I can see the point right now.
Right. And I mean, we were talking about this morning. I mean, if the sale doesn't feel right, I'm not going to push anymore for it. Because at the end of the day, if I know that they're not truly ready, I'm not going to push for that sale because I don't want them as a client. I think we were talking yesterday about the crazy clients. Like, I don't want crazy clients. And if I have that feeling and it doesn't feel right, I don't want that sale.
Well, and we said when we feel like we do kind of have to push them more to do it, they always end up not doing it, or they end up being a crazy client. But when the clients, when they just come on and they know, like, yes, I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to invest into my health, like, they're the best clients ever. They do the program, they get great results. And I would also say the clients who pay in full are better clients than clients who pay monthly.
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's like the people who pay them, like, this is actually a funny story. So we still run like a low ticket program that I don't really talk about called Shred and 8. So that this is originally what got us started in fitness, i.e. an 8-week transformation program. We sold it for like $150. I got like 1,500 people in every 8 weeks. I thought I was like balling Billy Big Shot like 6 years ago maybe. And then I had one guy come from the US, paid me £10,000. It's like 12,000 US for a year for coaching. I was like, fuck, I'm just going to sell more of these. But what I used to get was a lot of problems. People getting chargebacks, complaining.
Right.
And we still have this as like our Voldemort offer that like you don't talk about, that we have up our sleeve. If we respectfully get someone on a sales call who's a bit shit, we'll put them onto that. Just like an automated program. It's like $47 a month. We get payment disputes on a $47 a month program.
Right.
But like the 3K thing, people are like, I've decided not to do it anymore, but you can keep your money. Like literally, I had someone who paid $6,000 for a program. He did it for a week and he was like, you know what, Charlie, like, this is too much work for you, but just keep the money, it's fine.
I'm like, okay.
I was like, all right then. Like, I want to help you, but like,
I mean,
I was like, it's not a lot to say that. You're pretty sure with it. So I was like, fair enough. Like,
yeah.
And that's, I think people's behavior is interesting. And I think when you look at why people shouldn't charge monthly, the clients you get who pay monthly, their commitment's monthly.
Right.
So results are going to be shit. Whereas if like a lady comes on the phone with you and puts down $7.5K for a year, they're probably going to adhere to the program. Because it's enough to make them commit and be like, for a woman, that's probably a couple of handbags, right? Like, whereas the reality is that if it was $150, like 2 meals at Cheesecake Factory, I'm not that bothered.
Yeah. I had a client, this reminds me of my client, Amanda. She told me actually after our call, she signed up, she paid in full. She said, you know what, one of the things I bragged on you after our call, I told all of my women business owners, she said, when you said your price, you said it's $5,000. And you didn't say anything else. You didn't apologize for it. You didn't say, well, you know, just try to justify it. And she said that is so powerful because many women think they have to, and I don't know how, if you ever felt like this or if you run into this with male coaches, but women think they have to justify their worth. You know, oh, I'm worth this because, and it's just, no, you are worth it.
She said you were very confident in how you said it.
Right. But I just thought that was pretty powerful that, you know, if you're female listening to this, you know, you're worth what you're asking for and you don't have to justify the price.
And I think that certainty comes across in terms of tonality, body language, like as you get the numbers to come out. And like, cool story, when I used to work in a stage agency, I remember being like, you pitch a house, an offer on a house price wise, it'd be like $1 million. I'd get my iPhone out, scroll on Instagram for a bit, wait for them to say, like I always say it, like I remember I had one, I waited for like $1.5 million once, just like, I go all day, clubs on the phone, so I don't care. I'll just sit there and wait for the other person to say something. And one of the things I tell a lot of people to do is like almost count down in your head, just like 10, 9, 8, like just don't say anything because you can see them like processing it.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing people go, like I've seen people, I don't know, they pitch 3K, then they'll like in a second later, we can do it monthly, or like
you'll talk yourself out of it
because they're desperate, and that desperation actually pushes people away. Was people, because you're trying to like, it's like a push-pull technique in sales where people like, you're trying to like pull people in, and almost what you want to do is almost like they have to qualify for the program. It's like, are you good enough to really work with us? And then they're like, oh fuck, I want to be part of Catherine's program. Like,
yes. I think, what is it? Corey says
whoever talks first loses.
Oh, 100%.
So it's a game, and I know it feels so awkward. It's probably one of the most awkward things. I had one girl this week, she goes, you're just staring at me. And I was like, I still didn't say anything. I'm like,
I think the longest time I've ever sat on a sales call,
it's the subtle nod.
After pitching the price and not saying anything, was probably like 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
10 to 15 minutes.
You waited that long?
Didn't say anything. Because she's like, let me figure out my finances. I I just didn't say anything. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna use my credit card.
And she did it.
Whereas
15
like,
minutes. That's gotta be
like
hard.
in the past, I would have kind of felt like crap. I don't want to lose this sale.
Let me figure out.
We can do monthly, but I didn't. I was
Yeah.
quiet, and I took Corby's word, and I didn't say anything,
Yeah.
and it worked out.
And that's where the shift in mindset comes to the causal point, right? Because if you're coming from a scarcity mindset or abundance mindset, if you're on the back foot, you're like, fuck, I need to close this person, I need to close this person. Whereas like,
Correct.
I was tired this morning, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I rolled out of bed and fucking closed someone in my pajamas with my headphones on Zoom.
Right.
Like got up at 6:45, closed them at 7. And I was like, fuck you, just do it.
Right.
And then don't do that. It's really unprofessional. And I apologise if you watch this podcast. And but the reality is that like if you're that confident in your ability to do that, that's going to come across on the call. And one of the biggest reasons people don't close very well is they lack confidence. So I think having that assurance in who you are, and a lot of that actually comes back to actually being really good at fucking coaching.
I was just about
Because,
to say the same thing. You have
like,
to be confident.
if you know you're really fucking good at what you do, you don't give a fuck. You know the value of what you do, and you know everything inside out, and there's nothing that they need that you don't have.
Right.
So it's like, this is a no-brainer. How can you not understand that? And when you say that with like the honest truth, there's no way that doesn't even come across on Zoom.
Right. You have to be confident in your coaching abilities and that you can help them and that you've transformed other people's lives. That's huge. That's what I was about to say too, because we were thinking yesterday after the mastermind meeting, in order to kind of bring our prices up a little more, there's some things that we need to do inside the program. If we're going to charge premium price, there's some things that we need to do to make it even better, with videos and some mindset coaching and things like that. So you have to know that your coaching's worth it too.
That's an interesting topic to talk about. What would you say gave you the ability or the knowledge in terms of coaching to make you feel like you can warrant charging that price?
This is a good question. So when I started 7 years ago, I hired you about 2 years in after I was by myself. So this is for all female coaches, any coach who wants to get started. I didn't know a ton about nutrition, right? I knew how to train hard myself. I didn't know a ton about nutrition. I knew a little bit, didn't know a lot, but I had a desire to help people, and I knew I could figure it out. So there was a lot in my first 2 years of trial and error, of figuring it out, doing what I knew worked well for me, trial and error with clients until I found a system. But there was also a book I read, and it's in 3 pieces now because I refer to it so much. Do you know who Lyle McDonald is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
I thought you might say Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding.
No, but it was Lyle McDonald because it's called the Women's Book Volume 1.
Okay.
And it's everything you need to know about, I wouldn't say everything, but it's pretty close to female hormones, hormone adaptation, modifiers, creating macros based off birth control methods, right? And how they affect your hormones, menstrual cycles. I mean, it is just full of, and when I read that book, it changed the way I coached. And it gave me a lot more confidence. I felt like I knew, okay, now I know exactly what I'm doing. I have a system. I know this works. So if you feel like you don't know everything, it's okay. It's okay to not know everything when you start coaching. If you have a true desire to help people, you'll get there.
What would you say was the breaking point for you when maybe individually and together you knew this business was going to be successful? Like, you like the way I explain it is almost you get to like critical mass and like, this is going to fucking work. Do you know what I mean? Was there a point for you like that?
Yeah. I was doing great, content, happy, doing my thing. And I hired Britany because I was pregnant. And I'm like, I need someone help. I'm getting a lot of referrals. I don't have enough time to coach these people. And so she comes on and she saw the potential of my business before I saw it. I mean, I did. I was like, I'm good. I'm content. I'm making about I was probably making $10K a month at that point. I'm good. And she saw it before I did. And so we got in our first mastermind together. But in fact, she started a mastermind prior to me.
Yeah, so I was with Vince for probably almost a year before she came on. And
I said, you can try it. I don't, because there were so many online coaches that would reach out. And I'm like, this has got to be spammy. I didn't trust it.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it's just, I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not, anyway. So I decided to do it. I started off with six-figure coach, and then I actually learned a lot. One of the things that I learned that really helped grow our business was DMing. I got really good at it and taught her how to do it. And then I'm like, okay, there's this 7-figure mastermind that he has. He wants me to join it. I don't want to do it by myself. It's more money. Let's do this together. And she's like, oh, let me think on it. Kept bugging her about it. And then finally, I think you actually hopped on a call. Did you ever hop on a call with Vince?
No, I just finally just got rid of my excuses of, oh, I have kids, I can't do this. I'm a mom, I don't have time.
Yeah, and I think
finally was like,
that's right. And then I called Vince and I was like, okay, well, here's the credit card, here's the money. And then our first month together with Vince, we went from like $10,000 a month to 70.
We did went to 70 like that. I think the biggest thing there were, I just thought I was marketing, and then I learned how to really create content, and then making our program scalable, and then
asking for paid in fulls.
That was like the top 3 things we did. That just skyrocketed it.
And that's the basic things that people don't understand, right? And a lot of these things, when I say to people, is like, you do these 2 to 3 things, your business can explode, because most people don't understand that when you have like the foundational like formula almost in place, it's like you tweak these couple of things, it's like you almost add a 0 to everything, because it's, and I think a lot of people almost hold themselves back by, they probably know they can do that, but they're almost afraid of the work that can come with that, because they're like, as you experience, there's a lot of work when your business basically 10x's in terms of demands on your time, pressure, stress, like it's obviously good things, but it's a difficult challenge to deal with.
Yeah. And some of the changes are so simple. They're foundational things that you do over and over and over again that continue to produce results. It's like going into the gym, squatting, deadlifting, bench press, pull-ups, whatever. Like you always do those things. And so that's what we just always do. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to complicate it. It's very, very simple.
Can change 1 or 2 things and it can make a big difference.
Right.
And I keep talking back to this, but I remember when I was a stage and I used to think like, these are 3-4 things I need to do every day, and I'm like make a really good commission, right? So it's like, these are the outputs of what I need to do to get the inputs to get money come back to me. It's like, I think about the same thing in business, is like, as long as I do these 3 to 5 things every day, then I'm good. Like everything will grow, everything will keep going. And I think people often try and overcomplicate the basic shit that needs to be done. So like, if you're an online coach, you probably need to make good content that helps people, that's engaging. You probably need to be messaging people, or have other people message people. You need to get good client results. You can also obviously run paid traffic. If you do the first 3 really well, rinse and repeat those, you're probably going to end up very consistent and have a decent business. Also, if you walk the part in terms of what you do, like we said earlier on in the podcast, like true to your values, and you're just selling the truth of who you are, then it's not a sale and it's congruent with your audience.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I won't understand, is not being the part, or doing what you preach. Like I'll never understand.
I think something really cool about our business is I feel like a lot of people that we meet in masterminds run ads to make money, and everything that we've ever done has been organic. I think we've maybe boosted like a couple reels on Instagram, but we've never truly ran ads. Right. Everything has been organic.
And with that, you nearly had like a 200K month this year. What would you say has been the biggest thing in terms of your continued growth over the last 6 to 12 months? And what you do is obviously quite different in terms of what a lot of people do. The majority of your revenue is from Facebook, correct?
It has been. I would say at this point we're gaining traction on Instagram. Yes. So I would say it's probably 50-50 at this.
Maybe 60-40.
But
Maybe
your personal Facebook profile as well, right?
Personal Facebook profile. We don't do, well, we have a business one, but we just don't use it much. I mean, our ambassador program is.
Yeah, that has probably been a game changer for us, for sure.
It has definitely helped produce when we haven't been super consistent with content.
But if you think about what your ambassador referral program is, it's you being really good at coaching.
Right.
Because no one's going to refer anyone if the program's shit, right?
Correct.
So it's like, if you have this really good thing and you get people into it, they get really good results, they can refer their friends.
Right.
And it's like, well, we had some clients, for example, who we've had probably made $30,000 from a couple of clients because they've referred so many people to us that all their friends just sign up. Because say if you get Jackie down the street drops 50 pounds in 12 months, like everyone's going to notice that, and they'll be like, what's happened to you? Oh, I worked on Catherine's program. They're like, who's Katherine? Like,
Right.
they want in straight away, right? Because people want to know what the secret is, and they probably think you don't have the secret. Although we know it's nutrition training and like proper stuff, rather than like the new fat loss injections or that bullshit that's getting pushed out there.
So annoying. Right.
But that's the reality how it works. If you're just really good at what you do and you're congruent with that, then people will come into you.
Yeah.
I'd probably say 70% of the clients that we sign up are referrals.
At this point. And one of the things that we do to make our organic content go further is with this ambassador program, they're required as an ambassador to share how many posts per week? Two posts per week on the platforms that they're on. And they have to post one time per week, once or twice a week.
You have to post twice. It could be like a selfie of them in the gym, or like telling their story, something that has been great for them in the program, or just like a picture of their food and like tagging us. Like just simple things like that has been a game changer for us, because, you know, people will see that they're dropping weight and eating cheeseburger and they're like, how are you doing it? And then
Yep.
But what you said there is interesting, because that's contrarian approach to what people think, right? They think you can't eat the cheeseburger and lose fat.
Right.
But when you start to actually like educate people, maybe put some information out there or content out there, that sparks curiosity, because it's the opposite of what people think it can actually be done.
Right.
Whereas I think people have a misconception, and it's a chicken and rice bodybuilding diet for everyone to lose weight, or you just starve yourself and
Or you starve
do
yourself.
some retarded juice diet or something.
Correct. And that's the thing with a lot of moms. They come to me and they're like, I want to lose this weight, but I don't want to starve. I don't want to feel miserable or hangry, or I can't have a lack of energy because I have so many responsibilities. And that's a huge misconception in the health and fitness industry, is that you have to feel those things. Or like, if I'm not feeling those things, then I'm not losing body fat, or the scale's not going to go down. And that's so wrong.
For other women who are listening to this, who are struggling maybe in terms of knowing what to do with their business, or they're stuck at any position, what would you say to them as the best advice?
Go first.
the best piece of advice I would say is truly you have to change your mindset. I think we talk about this a lot. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but when you truly change your mind and you're like, I can do this, I believe in myself, as long as I'm being patient and being consistent, I can get there. I think mindset has been a game changer for us too. Mm-hmm. But just changing your mindset and just saying like, oh, like food really isn't the enemy. Like, I can have pizza, I can have a cheeseburger and still lose weight. Mindset truly, I think, is the biggest thing.
Is the question about business or fitness?
Both.
Okay. Yes, so with the mindset thing regarding fitness, one of the things I talk about with clients is, I think this is in the Habits book.
Atomic Habits?
Yes.
Sledge?
Talks about you have to become who you want to be before you're that person, right? And so many women, I'm fat. Well, if you continue to believe that about yourself, that's the way you're always going to be. You have to reframe that narrative in your mind. And it's, I'm fit, or I am fit because I am healthy because I made this decision today, because I went on a walk. And so that's one of the big things with mamas, is helping them reframe the narrative and what they're telling themselves on a daily basis.
Or if you continue to believe that you can't eat something to lose weight, that's
You're going to have a horrible relationship with food,
Yeah.
and you're never going to get to where you want to be.
Do you think sometimes some women have a horrible relationship with business?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of congruencies between fitness and business. I think maybe they think it's more of a lot of men coach women, and maybe a lot of women think that's like a male dominated sector as well. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when we walked into your event, it was like, how many men were in there? There were like 3 women.
We were actually looking at the picture that you posted on Facebook and tagged us at the event, and I was like, there's like 5 women in that photo.
It's so strange. But that's probably because, I don't know, women think they don't deserve it. Women think they're not
They don't
worthy
believe
of
in
it. They
themselves.
don't believe in themselves. Or they can't because they have all of these other things going on, or all these other responsibilities. I mean, I've had moms message me, how are you so successful with, having kids? I'm like, well, my kids go to school, right? And they're
you
like,
got the
they
rest of
do?
the day, right?
I'm like, yes, they go 5 days a week. I put them in They're in a little Montessori school, and they love it. They're socialized. It's great for them. They're learning. They come home exhausted. They're like, you do that? I'm like, that's the only way I could get this done. But plus, it's good for them, right? I think that women believe that they have to be at home with their kids at all times, and that's why one of the things why they're not successful is because you can't get anything done with kids running around. I mean,
Or
you can
if
try,
you work
but
a lot or if you work a lot and you have kids, you're a bad mom. You hear that too.
yeah, you do hear that, and that's not true. All right.
To finish up, what would be the best piece of advice you think you've learned in terms of balancing that?
Oh, like I said, you have to set your boundaries. You have to know your boundaries, you have to set them, and you have to abide by them. I'm not saying it always works, because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're taking a phone call late at night to help a client and you're trying to put 2 kids to bed. It happens. But setting your boundaries, knowing them, abiding by them, but also explaining to your kids, hey, this is why I work. I enjoy it. It provides for our family. We get to go do these things. I get to take you to the beach anytime we want to go because I do this. And being able to explain that to a child, they get it. Even though they're 3 and 4, they're like, oh, okay, I got it. And it's really fun to go in my office, and my little girl will be sitting there, and she'll climb up in my chair and put my glasses on, and she'll look at my computer. And I think that's wonderful, because I want my kids to know what hard work is, and that when you work hard, that you can accomplish anything you want.
100%.
Yeah, and you also actually put this in a post that you made, something, can't remember the exact post, but it was a post on the Arise Elevation page, something that you need in your business that you think is having a business partner is a game changer for you.
Absolutely. Like we said, I felt like I was doing it alone, and there was a lot of pressure on me, especially, leaving what I left in December and becoming a single mom. There was just so much pressure on me, I felt like. And even though there were a lot of things that I was doing a lot on my own before, there was just another body there. But now it's like, oh, I'm really doing this by myself. And there was a lot of pressure. And I felt like when we decided to partner, and I always said I'll never have a business partner. Maybe not said that out loud, but I'm like, I saw, my dad in business struggle with that. My brother struggled with that, but that's because they didn't have, didn't communicate clearly. They didn't have clear, boundaries or responsibilities and roles set.
Men probably aren't good at communicating either, to be fair.
True, probably. But we work really well together. And so bringing her on and doing that as a partnership, it relieves so much pressure. And I don't know, it was just such a relief to me.
Yeah, and you and I communicate very well too. Plus, we just recently became actually business partners while we've been working together for 5 years. So during the past 5 years, we also have built a really solid friendship too, which makes a big difference to me.
Right.
100%. Thank you for your time. I think it's a really solid note to finish up on. Where's the best place for anyone to find out more about you?
Oh, you can, if you've got Instagram, you can go to K-A-T, Arise Fitness, A-R-I-S-E, Arise, if you can't understand my southern accent. And Britany, at Britany Arise Fitness, that's where you can check us out, send us a message if you're interested.
100%. Thank you very much for your time. For anyone who listened to the podcast who enjoyed this, make sure you smash the like button, drop a comment below with any questions. If you're looking for help to build your online fitness business, hit a link below this to book in a free call to find out how we can help you. And see you next episode soon. Thank you.
Thanks. It was fun.